So snow leopards and conservation, they need friends. We need people to care for snow leopards and for conservation in general. And at the International Snow Leopard Trust, we had created a worldwide network called the Snow Leopard Network, which is an alliance of conservationists around the world. But what we felt, as well as other organizations felt, that we needed also an alliance of governments, a platform where we could bring together governments of all 12 snow leopard range countries, as well as conservationists, other organizations and other parts of society, and for them to cooperate and exchange best practices and exchange information. And that led to the creation of the Global Snow Leopard and Ecosystem Protection Program. Snow leopard is an animal of the ice ages. It's a Pleistocene species which lives in really high mountain landscapes. And it's uniquely adapted to this very cold and very harsh environment. They are adapted to actually hunting in these really almost vertical cliffs, and supremely adapted to living in this kind of landscape. And it's a product of 3 billion years of evolution, and it's very, very beautiful, amazing and awe-inspiring. So there's a lot of characteristics about the snow leopards that make it special. The snow leopard is an endangered species. It is threatened with extinction. The main threats to its survival include traditional threats that include retaliatory killing by local people when snow leopards kill their livestock. Then there is poaching, excessive hunting of their prey species, as well as sometimes excessive livestock grazing, because of which the prey populations are lower. But the snow leopard is also facing many new and emerging threats. Snow leopard habitats are warming at an average of twice the rates of average warming across the northern hemisphere. And this kind of climate change is leading to new threats. For example, there is a new threat of intensifying risk of disease outbreaks. There are these natural disasters in snow leopard habitats. And snow leopards also becoming a victim of globalization, of poorly planned development, opening of areas with new roads, of areas that used to be once remote habitats. So there's a lot of these kind of threats that the snow leopard is facing, and of course intensifying levels of poaching and illegal wildlife trade. So firstly, snow leopard, just because it is so beautiful and so majestic and so mystical, it is a great conservation flagship. The snow leopard appeals to people, appeals to the masses, appeals to politicians, so that makes it a great flagship for conservation. Secondly, snow leopards need large home ranges, and if we are able to protect snow leopards, that also means we are able to protect an entire diversity of life that depends on snow leopard habitats. And lastly, but also equally importantly, snow leopard habitats are an important source of ecosystem services for people, for local people who depend on snow leopard habitats for grazing and for clean water, and for also a lot of downstream people living downstream, because snow leopard habitats are the water towers of Asia. They are, a third of humanity is dependent on clean water that is originating in snow leopard habitats. Conservation requires teamwork, and what we were able to do, and it was not just us but a whole bunch of organizations, we all came together for this common cause of snow leopard conservation. And what we were able to do is to get together. We started meeting along the sidelines of other meetings, the Convention of Parties and many other meetings, we started discussing with government partners. So the multiple organizations were involved. Of course, the Snow Leopard Trust was there, but we had the World Bank, we had WWF, we had NABU, and many United Nations organizations. We all got together, started discussing the need for this kind of a strategy, then started reaching out to our country governments and partners. And slowly over time, it is that collective effort that led to the creation of this program and for all governments to come together. Okay, so the Snow Leopard Trust itself, we work with local communities across snow leopard habitats of Asia. And our partner local communities themselves are today protecting more than 150,000 square kilometers of snow leopard habitat. Now this program, where the governments have been involved, this program has led to the governments to intensify protection efforts in about 140,000 square kilometers additional. And so that is one of the bigger contributions so far of this program. Of course, the idea is to bring even larger areas under protection. Under this program, we have been able to collectively train more than 400 frontline conservationists, which includes rangers, and our trainings have included, for instance, how to do better community-based conservation. Our trainings have included training for rangers in terms of better protection, enforcement, crime prevention, as well as better crime scene investigation. Similarly, there have been training programs that we have been running collectively with other partners on better monitoring and research of snow leopards and their prey species. So there's been a lot of capacity development within the countries, as well as intensified protection on the ground. Local communities, they are the most important stakeholder for snow leopard conservation. If we are not able to partner with local communities, we will not be able to protect snow leopards. And local communities really have to become the leaders for snow leopard conservation. And like I said earlier, our own partner communities today are protecting more than 150,000 square kilometers of snow leopard habitat. And the way to work with them is to really empower them to lead conservation efforts, to help assist them with better livelihood programs so that their incomes can increase, their living standards can increase, and of course really rely on them and co-create conservation programs with them which can benefit them as well as benefit snow leopards. I think the biggest challenge for this program is sustained resources and funding, and getting running the secretariat, bringing people from around the world, getting the governments together, all 12 range country governments, that requires funding, and that I would say in this case that's one of the biggest challenges. But we have a lot of hope and plans for this program. We want to intensify the effort, work with governments to bring larger areas under protection, and there is a lot of new programs that we have initiated. We've initiated a new program called Equal One, which is really about bringing in a new era of sustainable economic development in Asia's high mountain landscapes. Now, under that program, we want to be able to support a lot of local entrepreneurs who are from local communities who want to set up businesses that are ecologically sustainable, culturally sensitive, and socially inclusive, where a lot of other people can get livelihoods. So the other place where we really want to invest effort and resources is for the capacity development. 400 people have been trained so far, but we need a huge workforce that is dedicated to conserving snow leopards and biodiversity in the Asia's high mountains, and a lot of these people, most of them have to be from these countries. They have to be from the communities. So we need to invest significantly in capacity development for conservation as well as for livelihoods. Look, we should all be concerned about protecting species and about biodiversity because our life depends on them. And in addition to the fact that this is a unique and diverse assemblage of life that has evolved, taken more than 3 billion years to evolve, and it's never going to come back again. If we lose it, we lose. Humanity loses, the planet loses, the universe loses. So we owe it to our future generations to be able to protect biodiversity. But very importantly, our own well-being, our own survival is dependent on them. And the COVID-19 pandemic is a perfect example of how, if we do not care for our biodiversity, if we allow biodiversity to degrade, and with the changing situation with the climate and globalization and so on, our survival is dependent. COVID is a great reminder of that. If we don't get our act together now, if we do not change our model of economic development, which has really so far been dependent on economies of scale and exploitation of natural resources and causing pollution and biodiversity loss, humanity will not survive. It will find it very, very hard to survive. So we need to protect biodiversity for ourselves, and we need to protect biodiversity for the biodiversity's sake. I mean, it is a unique natural heritage we have inherited from our forefathers, and we owe it to our future generations. One of the most powerful ways of mobilizing society to protect nature is to help people become more aware, but also help them to experience nature. Once they experience nature and biodiversity, they start to like it, they start to actually care for it, and that's how they will become responsible citizens. They will feel the responsibility and ownership to protect biodiversity. This award, not just for our organization, but for all the stakeholders, all the 12 governments and other stakeholders who've been involved in creating and running this program, I think this is a huge recognition. It is a huge encouragement. And this program, what it has shown is that countries, individuals have differences, organizations have differences with each other, countries have geopolitical disagreements, they even have geopolitical conflicts, and yet for the cause of snow leopards and for the cause of conservation, they have shown that they can come together. And I think that this is a great example for other conservationists, but this is a great example for nations too, that we can set aside our differences and come together on matters of protecting biodiversity, because it is really a global responsibility. It is not just an individual country's responsibility. And this award is a really great and fitting recognition of that sentiment.